Hi, welcome to the Knitting Samurai Plus One video podcast. This is episode 83. Shall we get acquainted? I'm your host, Steph, also known as the Knitting Samurai, and I feel like we should maybe talk about some knitting, but me showing it to you is going to be similar to me showing it to me, because it's been 2 weeks since we last spoke, so it's definitely time for us to catch up, but I haven't gotten a lot of knitting time in this week. It has been crazy work week, and you don't want to hear about that, but it's energizing, it's exciting, it's the high point in the working calendar for me, but at the same time, like, the end of the day, every night, like, I was picking Roland up from daycare on Wednesday, and I nearly fell down in the room. Fake fell down, but it's like, girls, is it the end of the week yet? It's crazy. So let's sit here and catch up a little bit on knitting. I'm realizing that while I have been podcasting for a while, if you're new to the show, you might not know some of the backstory about me, so I thought I'd just take a minute and tell you. I'm Steph. I live in New England with my husband, Steve, who I'll talk about a bit, and our son, Roland, who is officially 2.5 years old. I am pregnant, due in June. So that's a little bit. I've been knitting for 11 years now, like crazy fanatical knitting for 11 years. And what else can I tell you about? Basically if I'm sitting, I'm knitting. So that's how it works. Unless, of course, I'm exhausted and my feet are incredibly swollen and I'm on the couch with them on a stack of pillows piled up high trying to get the swelling down. But that's just a pregnancy short-term thing. So let's jump into it, shall we? Show notes can be found on the blog, which is knittingsamuraiplus1.wordpress.com. And there is a group for the podcast over on Ravelry. So come join over there. Love to get conversation going, talking about what we're intending to do for 2014, meeting our goals and things like that, I think is the main topic over there right now. So, deep breath, deep breath. So let's go to talk about knitting, shall we? Okay. Toddler t-shirt. See, I don't even know what's in this bag, so I'm pulling it all out just to make sure I'm gonna show you what I want to show you. So when I went to London last August, I got some yarn. It's Essential Soft Merino. Someone stole the ends. It was a larger tag, but a little person needed them for, I think it was for garbage for his dump truck. Yeah, so this is Rico Designs Essential Soft Merino Aran Weight yarn. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it because I got a rather small amount of 3 different colors. I cast on just recently. See, I'm reacquainting myself. It's like, if you've never seen the show before, this is a perfect episode to start with. So I cast on for the toddler t-shirt vest by Sam Lamb using the pattern recommended, I believe, size 8, 5.0 millimeter needles. And so I cast this one on first, and before this one was finished, I had cast on 3 more and completed 2 others. So this one definitely fell by the wayside, but it is now done. So I am happy to share that with you. I was a little worried I wouldn't have enough of this royal blue that you see on the ribbing here. And so that's the reason why I mixed in the teal, just some, they're not random, but some spaced out teal stripes. I would have had enough, but it's okay. I like it. I think it gives it some visual interest. Close your eye down. Can you tell I've been analyzing clothes all week? So what to say? This is knit at a rather loose gauge, so I am a little bit worried about the pill factor. So we'll see. I haven't blocked it yet, but so much fun to knit these sweaters. Let me tell you. So you cast on and it's really exciting. Something going on almost every row. Free pattern, by the way, until you split for the sleeves, and then this section's stockinette. But then you get to go back and work on the ribbing, which I find fun because it's just quick, and then the ribbing's done, and then I really enjoy knitting these. So that one's finished. I didn't do the greatest job I've ever done. Can you see? Switching my colors. I was trying to do something jobless, and that just wasn't working. And then about here, I gave up on that, and it came out much cleaner. So it's on the back. I'll always be able to tell the back. So there you go. That's off the needles and finished. I'm excited to have that done. Still on the needles is the fourth one I cast on. I don't know that I've knit on this at all since we've spoken last, but I do absolutely love this color, these colors. So the green that I'm using, I decided I wanted to use up this skein of yarn, and so I've already done one of these toddler vests with the contrasting green for the neck. So now this is the second one. These are gifts for my friend that's having twins. She found out that one of them was a boy. He had a little health issue. They had to figure out, they were looking around and knowing his gender was impossible not to know. I don't know exactly the circumstances that led to it, but we know one's a boy. So the first one I knit for him, because I figured one would be a boy, is this green with a baby blue and green multi-yarn for the base of the body. And then, and that was Claudia hand paint. So this is for his twin, which we don't know if that one's a boy or girl. I'm thinking it's probably a girl, but could be wrong. Based on the heart rates, one of them, so she and I are both pregnant, and one of her twins had a heart rate very similar to my little guy, who is a boy, and her other twin has a higher heart rate, so we're guessing a boy and a girl. At least I am, and that's what I'm telling everyone we know. I'm not the mother. Pregnant women are smug, right? That's the song? Oh boy, Steve's been quoting it at me lately. It's funny, if you're not pregnant for the first time, it's funny to watch that video on YouTube. So, I'm not going to link it in the show notes. You can go find it if you want to. Because maybe it's not your sense of humor, but it's mine. So, anyways, this is the toddler t-shirt vest as well. Sam Lamb, same designer, same pattern, because I like it so much. And this one is with Into the World Lundy held double. So fingering weight yarn held double. I really love the way it's knitting up. It's so soft. I am knitting these on size 7 4.5 millimeter needles, so I did go down a needle size. But I'm thinking using sock yarn. Do I have a tag in here? Probably not. I'm thinking that will have more, it'll have a longer life, wear a little longer. Oh, and this is supposed to be 12 to 24 month sized, and I haven't tried it on Ro, who's 2.5, but and he's off the charts, 2.5. He's very large, 2-year-old. He wears a size 4 T, but I'm thinking this almost fits him. So, yeah, the pattern is very flexible. So these sport fingering held double on a smaller size needle is yielding a smaller body, smaller chest circumference than the actual pattern called for, but I'm not too worried about it. I think it's an inch smaller. It's not a huge difference, but they are going to be a little more snug, so the babies can wear them earlier because they are due in June as well. So I'm thinking maybe that first winter, if not, then the next fall. So that's that, right? Did you get to see how beautiful this is? I love it. I love the variegation, and then I love that holding it double makes the variegation even more random and unusual looking. So, okay, moving on. Lastly, when that's done, which should be soon, I think I've mentioned this before, but I am envisioning this as a third colorway. Because I was thinking, wouldn't it be fun to just knit 7 of these? 7, you know, because my little guy will have the puffin one, which is Leading Man Fiber Arts. He'll have this one. Maybe it would be nice to have a few more. So I think that, well, I know Roland was 6 months old before he went to daycare for the first time. And this guy's going to be going at 3 months old. So I want to make sure he has lots of layering pieces to keep him nice and warm. So that's that. Oh, and the green yarn is Luette Sport. And I am holding that double as well. And did I decide that's not a superwash yarn? Maybe. I don't know. But that's that. And then I need to show you the Garter Air Flap hat by Pearl Soho. This is new. You haven't seen it before. And you should definitely look at the pattern page for this because mine doesn't look as cute as hers does. Hers are, I think they're like a gray and a white cream color, and they're just the cutest little thing with this stand-up poof tassel, not a pom-pom, it's a tassel on the top. They're just adorable. So here's mine. I did used Barocco Vintage in the navy and the sour cherry colorway just because I was feeling like I wanted an accent color around his face instead of just straight navy. And this is for thing 2, not for row, but I did knit the toddler size. Yeah, it wouldn't fit row. But again, he's a big guy, and I'm planning for thing 2 to also be a big guy, which is why I knit the toddler size, thinking he can wear it at like 4 months old. And if it's a little big, so what? Because of this pointy construction, you know, it'll stick up at the top and just have a little extra up there, and it'll be really, really cute, I think. So I need to weave in my ends that are hanging out here. But yeah, really simple, pretty mindless pattern knitting. It is free on wrap. I was alternating at the beginning, going back and forth, because it is garter in the round, so you knit a row, purl a row. And instead I was knitting a row, flipping my work, knitting a row the other way, and then, right? And so I was wrapping and turning the first stitch on each row, or the last stitch, depending on which way I was going, and it just looked messy. And so then I gave up and did it in the round as the pattern called for, and it gave me this seam. I don't know if you could see it, where I switched from in the round to not. So that's fine. I don't mind the seam. Shows me where the back is. And the ear flaps are the cutest thing. They're very subtle. So if I were to knit this again, I might work the ear flaps. I did 2 extra rows just to make them a little deeper. I don't know how to show that to you. Maybe I'll lay it flat. I think that's probably the best way to show it to you, so you can see how it dips down there. I did do 2 extra rows. Size 7 needles, so that's, you know, probably a quarter of an inch. If I were to do it again, I might exaggerate that and make that ear flap just go down quite a bit more. But that's it. Really, really quick, fun pattern. And you know, I know a lot of times we knit, a lot of people knit the Elizabeth Zimmerman baby surprise jacket as a gift, and that's a garter. Or there are some really cute booties out there. I think the Sarja booties are garter booties, and a lot of the good hat patterns that I found that are really popular for kids or for babies are stockinette stitch, and that bothers me. I want them to match. So I would highly recommend this pattern. Again, this is the Garter Ear Flap with a P hat by Pearl Sew. Highly recommend this as, you know, throw it in as your matching set. So that's off the needles. Are you seeing the trends? It's like I wasn't knitting for him, thing 2, and now that's all I'm doing is knitting for thing 2. Again, another one that I'm not really sure if I've worked on since I've shown it to you last, but I'll give you a little peek. This is the Sugar Violets colorway of Knit Picks Felici in a 2x2 rib sock. I am, let's see, half of the way up the leg, so it's going to have an afterthought heel. I am using Lala's afterthought heel pattern, and I'm knitting on US Zeros 2.0 millimeter needles. I'm actually wondering if it's time for me to start looking for some double zeros to knit socks on. Just, I mean, this yarn is super squishy and really soft, but I don't know. I don't wear a lot of my hand knit socks. Steve had a pair on yesterday, and they look great on his feet, and I was just like, why don't I knit more of them? Which reminds me, I'm going to show you this. Ugh! You see this? This is my dance coat. My new dance coat. I bought dance coats at 6 months and some change pregnant, a size bigger than I normally wear, because I can't wear my shoes anymore. My feet are so swollen, so swollen. But here's my thought. If I buy my size, I have one pair that's a size bigger that I bought a couple years ago. I wear a size 11, by the way. So I had bought a pair of 43s, because they're European sizing, a couple years ago to wear with hand knit socks, and that's all I wear with them, but they're the reddish brown color. So now I have a pair of 43s in the black. So I'm thinking when I wear these, I'll wear hand knit socks when I'm not pregnant, because that's important to know. Yep. These are the things. These are the things that run through my mind that I'm like, I have to share with somebody. And lucky us, we're here together, so I'm telling you. Lastly, oh, and in case you were wondering, this one is a bird leg bags. This one is a Stitched by Jessalou bag. Yep. And this one is also a Stitched by Jessalou bag. So, I'm a big fan of the wedges lately. And here is the fitted. I don't even have it in the show notes. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Last time I had done one, and it's funny because I knit this square the morning that we bought got our new car. So I will remember that one of those green squares is very closely linked to getting a new car and driving home in the new car and knitting a new car. And this past week, actually last night before, in one night, I almost knit an entire square. So that was monumental for me because I'm pretty slow at doing these. So now I have 2 of this foresty green colorway. I have enough to do one more here. And I had thought, because you usually end up with a ball, say that big. That was the navy hat. I had used, I thought I would just use up that skein and that might be enough. It wasn't enough, so don't try that. This is Baroque vintage, if I didn't say that already. And then I cast on with the orange colorway for my second square out of the 3 orange squares that I'll do, and that's where I'm at with that. I did something different on this one to try and tighten up those initial cast on stitches. I know the pattern has some sort of directions that you have to go somewhere. I'm too lazy to go watch the video on how to appropriately cast on so that the center is all cinched in tight. And instead I'm going to experiment on mine until I come up with probably the same way, but get there on my own. So if I had to guess, did I say these are size 7, 4.5 millimeter needles? If I had to guess, I would say I have, I think that's my 13th square and I'm going for 20. So I did the math this week. Well, I do the math every week, right? Who doesn't? And I am due in 13 weeks. So 13 squares, so that would leave me 7 more squares to knit, 1 a week. Maybe I'll get the blanket done before the baby arrives. We'll see. And then I have some things hibernating. I'm not going to talk to you about them. But I will show you this beautiful skein of Berlin. So this is Miss Bab's Yowza What a Skein. This, I did a bunch of caking last weekend to try and, because you know I'm trying to knit my 2013 Rhinebeck yarn before 2014 Rhinebeck rolls around. So I caked them all up. I put them in the, it's basically a plant tower, beautiful basket plant tower thing that my parents got me for Christmas. I have that full of yarn by the TV. It's a very nice decorative piece. But I put all of these caked up skeins in there so that they're looking at me every time I'm looking at the TV and inspiring me. And so this was one of them, the Yowza What a Skein. So really, it's listed as worsted, but I think it's more of a DK weight yarn and 500 and something yards in it. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm thinking it might be cute to knit Roland and thing too, something matching with this yarn. So that's what I'm being inspired by at the moment. And there was one more thing I want to remember to tell you. Oh, so last Friday I didn't record because I was exhausted, right? Because I did all that big presentation. And then Saturday, Roland went down for his nap, and Steve went skating. Steve goes skating most Saturdays and Sundays. If we're not doing something else, he likes to go skating at the rink near our house. And he's done some pond skating too. Thank God he wasn't at the pond. He fell in the last 15 minutes of the skating time period, public skate period. He fell and hit his head pretty hard, went unconscious. I had some strangers contact me. I didn't understand, took me a while to understand how serious it is to have a concussion. And I ended up having to get up Roland, pack him up, go get Steve, take him to the hospital. We called my parents to come get Roland. We ended up spending 4 or 5 hours at the hospital. Did a CAT scan. Yes, he had a severe concussion, but, and so he's been homesick for 5 days. Today's the first day he went to work for half an hour. Not half an hour, half a day. He's been doing a little work from home as he has felt better and been recovering. But we did learn that, it's an awful thing to have a concussion, but the fact that he is 32, his brain is actually more adept at recovering from a concussion than, say, like a 12-year-old would. So he's had a very speedy recovery. Thank you. So yeah, it made for a very interesting week. Since this was a very intense week for me at work, you know, normally it's a 10-hour work day, 10, 11-hour work day during this line closed period of time. And I had prepped my family that, okay, everybody else, you know, Mom, Steve, please help each other and pitch in, and you get rolling to daycare and I'm MIA, like pretend I'm in London. And that's all well and good, and everybody has plans, and yeah, shifting daycare schedules around and all that. And then one of you becomes completely incapacitated. So work has been really great at, you know, being flexible and saying, yeah, we know you can't be here. Go take care of your family, go take care of your husband. And Steve's mom actually came down and spent a day with him, and then we had some friends spend a day with him because I in good conscience couldn't leave him home alone there at the beginning. It was just a little too fuzzy. So, but he's doing so much better, and it was amazing to watch those first 3 days. I think he slept close to 20 hours a day. If you ask him, he slept for like 10, but he slept a lot more than that. But yeah, his brain just, it's amazing how quickly it recovered and healed. And at this point, he doesn't remember the accident itself, and he's very fuzzy on, I would say, like the 3 hours before, and has nothing from after. But other than that chunk of time, which should get smaller and smaller and smaller as he heals more, it'll fill in, the doctor has said. Other than that, he's fine. So, I mean, we were in the hospital in the emergency room, and he just was resetting every 10 minutes, which was a very scary thing to watch. And, you know, as I'm watching him ask me these same questions 25, 30 times, and the fear that he had every time, oh my God. It just, I do not envy anyone whose loved one has a concussion. And I've heard, you know, because everybody's got a story. These last few weeks, I've heard so many stories about, oh, 3 months, and she still has light sensitivity, and she can't go to school or can't go to work. And it's like, oh, wow, okay. I'm really glad he was able to recover so quickly. So, not that he's completely recovered, but he could be left home alone. So, and he can make decisions once again. So that's it for me, I think, for this week. Yeah, I will see you again in about 7 to 10 days or so. And I hope you enjoy what's going on with your knitting. And I look forward to talking to you over on the rad boards, although I am sort of hit or miss over there. And I try to be good about it, but then life, we all have it. Oh, but I am on Instagram, and I do absolutely love Instagram. And I love it when, who was it? Knitting Nirvana. I don't know, it's like an email trail, or I don't know, you like tag people in your picture and say what you're doing and ask them what they're doing. Oh, so cool. But anyways, so, yeah, friend me over there. I love to see what you're taking pictures of. So, take care. Until we talk again, have fun. Happy almost spring. Bye.